Well, Matt, voting is underway, as you can see here behind me. The never-Trumpers are acutely aware that tonight may be their last chance to make a stand against the former president, but it doesn't feel like a big upset is on the cards. More likely that by this time tomorrow it will all be over for Nikki Haley. What are the big issues that are driving voters out? Well, here in New Hampshire in particular, they want to see an end to the influx of the drug fentanyl that is coming across the border and killing young people in alarming numbers here. Well, we went to see one family who tragically lost a son to an overdose and who told us that the candidate who'll be the toughest, take the biggest action on fentanyl and the border, will be the one who takes their vote.
Losing a child is not natural. It's hard to get out of bed in the morning sometimes. You know, on Christmas morning or Thanksgiving, there's an empty chair at the table. I mean, it's tough. It's really tough.
For Kathleen and Jimmy Scapone, today's primary election is deeply personal. In 2015, they lost their son, Joey, to a drug overdose. A former sergeant in the Marines, he struggled with depression and became addicted to heroin.
Yeah, that's the last picture we have of him.
How old? And he was
25.
The coroner's report cited the heroin overdose, but it was a small amount of the drug fentanyl it was laced with that stopped Joey's heart and killed him. An excruciating pain his mother says she can never escape.
It gets worse because you think of like you've lost your child, and then a year goes by, and then you say to yourself, I haven't talked to my son in a year. And then 3 years goes by, and then you're like, I haven't talked to my son in 3 years. And so we just passed the 8-year mark, and I can't believe I haven't talked to my son in 8 years. So it never gets better, it never gets easier.
So when you go to the polls today, fentanyl and addressing this problem will be
Oh, that's my number one priority.
It's your number one issue?
Number one issue.
And who is it, do you think, is going to address that issue for you?
I will be voting for Donald Trump. He said his two biggest things were closing the borders and getting the fentanyl out of this country. So he's said that in a live setting that I've heard him say it.
But think of what happens when you lose a child or anybody to fentanyl. It's a horrible thing.
It was almost as if Trump was speaking directly to Kathleen when she went to his rally last weekend and even appeared outside on local television.
We need to get the drugs out of this country and stop them from coming from Mexico, and I believe Donald Trump can do that.
The next president of the United States, Nikki Haley.
Nikki Haley, now Trump's only remaining competitor, also knows talking tough on drugs and the border is a vote winner here in New Hampshire, where the fentanyl crisis is growing faster than anywhere else in America.
Number one cause of death for adults 18 to 45? Fentanyl.
Today is do or die for the former UN ambassador. Hardened Trump supporters will never back her. Haley knows that. But it's the never-Trumpers, the independents, and even some Democrats who she's hoping will switch to her in today's primary.
If you will join with us in this movement, I will spend every day proving to you that you made a good decision. God bless you. Thank you very much.
This may be a two-horse race now, but Nikki Haley must pull off the win of her life here in New Hampshire if she's to stand any chance of staying in this race and beating Donald Trump.
I think she offers a much better alternative to Donald Trump, and I'm actually a registered Democrat, but I'm considering registering as an independent in order to vote for her and help her beat Donald Trump.
What is it about her you like?
She's not Donald Trump. She's great. She's awesome.
She's articulate, she's young, she's honest about Trump, which is important.
Does she stand a chance against Trump?
Of course she does.
Is that what the polls are telling you?
Polls don't mean anything.
The polls did mean something in Iowa, where they accurately predicted that Trump would win a landslide victory. Then he turned up and smashed it.
Yeah!
And if they're still right, it looks like it will be downhill all the way to the finish line for him today, too. Trump's lead in the polls has steadily grown in the run-up to Election Day, and this morning hit a massive 60% support versus Nikki Haley, who's trailing at a decent 38%, but against him, it's just not enough. Unlike Iowa, New Hampshire often does pick the winner of the Republican race. And this year, it might declare the victor as well, given a decisive win for Trump here would wipe Haley out and bring the race to an early end.
I think he's going to get in. For better or worse, he's going to get in.
That's certainly what Kathleen is hoping. Never mind the chaos and the criminal charges, they've actually made her and thousands like her dig in for Trump all the more.
No one is perfect. What they're trying to do to him, it's making people support him more.
So for the sake of her son Joey, she'll tick the box for Donald Trump today and pray it propels him all the way from New Hampshire back to the White House.
Well, joining me now is the former Arkansas Governor Asa Hutchinson, who tried for the Republican nomination himself, but has now thrown his support behind Nikki Haley. Thank you very much for coming on the program. Governor Hutchinson, you and Chris Christie, the former governor of New Jersey, were the only two candidates who put their hand up and said, we will not support the nominee if he's a convict. In other words, if Donald Trump, is sent to jail, we won't support him. Astonishingly, the others didn't join you. But you both paid the price, didn't you? You got 191 votes, not 1,000, but 91 in Iowa, and you were toast after that. Is your party now the party of Donald Trump?
Well, that's what's at stake during this campaign. Clearly, the party has moved toward Donald Trump. We're fighting for the soul of the Republican Party. I'm a Ronald Reagan conservative, and I helped build the Republican Party, and I don't like to see it co-opted by someone who's focused on retribution, his own personal ego, and has misled people. And so I'm hoping for Nikki Haley tonight. That was an excellent story your reporter gave. I would say she doesn't have to win in New Hampshire. If she comes within 10 points of Donald Trump, then she can carry on the campaign, and the dynamics could likely change. But it's going to be tough. It's uphill, but you don't have to have a win tonight in New Hampshire. You have to be competitive, and then you have to take it on into the spring campaign and make this campaign longer. Donald Trump wants to shorten the campaign. Yeah. It's to our advantage to have it longer.
Okay, but the next race after this one is, I believe, South Carolina. Although she was the governor there, she's going to lose that race, according to the polls. Then there's Nevada. Apparently, she's going to lose that race. So how does she keep that momentum going if she keeps losing to Donald Trump?
Well, I wouldn't call it momentum, although she could get a bump if she comes close tonight. But it's more about surviving and continuing the race than momentum right now. Now, it's going to be tough because the donors have to stick with you. But I see this race with Donald Trump totally different 2 months from now than today.
How?
And that's because of all the chaos that surrounds him.
So you think once he starts actually appearing in the dock, going on trial, that will change the dynamics of the race? Because the opinion polls indicate that would only change if he was actually convicted.
Well, and that is likely to happen before the convention. And so the convention is in July. And so he's tried to delay all the trials, but they're likely to come up still before the convention. So that's not even going to persuade some of the Trump supporters. Conviction will not, but it will sure change the dynamic for the larger Republican Party, knowing the risk to put somebody who's been convicted of a serious crime on the ballot in November. And so there'll be a reevaluation of the race. Then there's a question as to who's the best alternative and who is surviving to that point, or they just simply go to a brokered convention and no one knows and can predict the result at that point.
Just briefly on Mr. Trump, is your suggestion then that the party should have, all-out guerrilla warfare against Donald Trump all the way to the convention, even if that will split your party down the middle?
Well, it could. Certainly. I mean, Donald Trump is a divisive figure. As much as he wants to unite the party, he's not going to be able to do that. But even more importantly, you've got to do more than unite the party. You have to get independent voters. And his strategy today is not to attract independent voters. And he's proven an inability to do that in past elections. And so that's where I think the challenge is, and that will be reevaluated by the Republican voters as we go closer to the convention and even during the
Right.
convention.
Now, Donald Trump has famously said that he would end the war in Ukraine in 24 hours. And I put this point to President Zelensky of Ukraine in Kyiv on Friday. And he said, basically, bring it on, Donald Trump. If you've got a great idea for ending this war, but not on Russia's terms, I'm happy to invite you here and to hear about it. What do you make of Mr. Trump's boast, briefly?
Well, I mean, first of all, the only way you're going to end the war in Ukraine in a short amount of time is to give Russia what they want, which is totally unacceptable. And so his promise there certainly paints the picture of a weak United States that does not want to continue its support of our European allies in the defense from Russia's onslaught against Ukraine. I think it's a terrible policy. And to me, you have to worry about Donald Trump in terms of leadership of America abroad and supporting our friends and allies. But then secondly, he's proposed a ring around the United States and to reignite the trade wars. And that is a problem for Europe. It's a problem for the United States of America as well. We don't need to retrace those steps. So it's more than just simple personality. It is about some of the policies that he has that would take us the wrong direction.
We'll be watching that space. Governor Hutchinson, thank you very much indeed for your time.
It's great to be with you. Thank you.